Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Brunswick and beyond. This is week 5. We got a bonus week, the first time we've done this in the past 2 years, but I would be remiss if I didn't bring the panelists on that we have here for you tonight. And so before we get started, for those that weren't able to dial in for the first 4 weeks, I want to explain the goal of Brunswick and beyond. But before I explain the goal, I'll mention the vision. And the vision is, I believe growing up in Brunswick and the growth that we receive from our parents, our teachers, our coaches, our pastors, and our community leaders, that they prepare us to be successful in our local community back in Brunswick, but also in beyond. And I can attest to that myself, having grown up through Brunswick through K through 12, and then going off for college and then having traveled to 28 countries. And so the goal of Brunswick and beyond is 2 parts. The first part is, over this 5-week period, we have interviewed and will interview 17 panelists. And goal number 1 is to see yourself in one of those panelists. And the reason I bring back graduates from Brunswick High and Glenn Academy is that we come from the same roots. And so they walk the same hallways that you walk. And so that you can better relate to one of our panelists that we have on, whether they're male, female, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, older, younger, whatever it may be. And then goal number 2 is I'm bringing these panelists on so you can see what's possible out there for us to do and to accomplish and to get done in our lives. You're not going to see everything, but you will see a lot of different careers, options, technical jobs that you can do. And because I fully believe in that, sometimes, coming from a small town, we got to see it to be able to achieve it, or be able to see something before we can open up our eyes a little bit bigger to achieve something new. And so without further ado, I am Shakir Robinson. I'm going ahead and pass the mic to our panelists. And so for each panelist, if you can, please say your name, what high school you graduated from, and then what your graduation year was. So your name, your high school, and what year you graduated, and we'll keep it off, and we'll go with Miss Williams if you can. Please go first.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Valerie Williams, and I went to Brunswick High School, class of 1982.
Awesome, thank you. Super hyped to have you on this afternoon. And Mr. Jones, please.
I am Robert Jones. I graduated from Brunswick High School in 1976.
Awesome. Welcome to Brunswick and beyond. And last but surely not least, Mr. Vale, please introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. Hi, my name is Eddie Vale. I attended Brunswick High School, class of 1981. Power, pride all day long.
There we go. So I tried to mix it up, but it didn't work out too well. But we got True Blue on tonight, all graduates from Brunswick High School. I have some sort of personal connection with each and every one of you, but just for our guests that are dialed in or are going to watch the live cast, I want to ask the question just to start off to get the crowd to know each and every one of you. And so that question is going to be, who were you as a high school student? What were you interested in? What clubs or teams were you a part of? What would your classmates say about you? And then since we ended with you, we'll start with you, Mr. Vale, please. Describe to us a little bit about who you were as a high school student.
Wow, that is an interesting question. Man, I tried to, I guess, walk amongst the walls, but I had a hard time doing that. Played football at Brunswick High, played basketball as well. Some of the activities I were involved in, you may not call it that now, but it was the Cutlass during the time that I was there, which is your annual. Actually, I was in charge of the sports section. So anything that you see in the annual, probably from 80, let's say 79 to 81, anything dealing with the sports, I was involved. I got involved because of my best friend by the name of Kevin Perry. He was very active in the school as well. So hey, that was it, man. I think I was just blessed just to be around some very good people, students and teachers.
Awesome. Thanks for that information. Mr. Jones, how would you classify yourself back in the 70s when you're a high school student?
Oh, goodness. The 70s were a crazy time. I was a nerd. First of all, I took calculus in my senior year in advanced classes. So I was somewhat focused on academics, but at the same time, I probably was playing a little bit more than I should have. But I was 120 pounds. I felt like I wasn't big enough to be an athlete. So I participated in a few of the clubs, the Spanish club and a couple other ones, but I really was more involved in things outside of school. I had other activities, but I was close to the teachers that I had.
Awesome. Thanks for the background. And then Ms. Peterson, it's good to have you dial in this night. Before we get to you, we're just sharing who were we as high school students, and so you'll get a view of it as Ms. Williams shares her deal.
Okay. um, I'll say I was pretty popular. And I think that's because my dad was a coach, not in high school, but in Risley Middle. Had a very great class. I was in the band. I played the clarinet. And then I think a couple of years I went and tried out for the flag, to be a flag girl, and I made that. And then I also was the 1982 homecoming queen.
Oh, awesome. I love it. Quite the introduction. And Ms. Peterson, welcome to Brunswick and beyond. If you can, please share your name and then what high school you graduated from and what year you graduated as well.
Yes, I am Theresa Hooper Peterson. I graduated in 1981 from that other school, Glen Academy High School. However, these folks that are on this call, I have known them, I feel like all of my life. That's the good thing and the bad thing about growing up in a small town. Eddie and I and others, he mentioned Kevin Perry, we still text each other at least every other day. I mean, we've got this group chat going on that we talk to each other almost every day or every other day and try and support each other in these kinds of events when, people are doing them in their respective homes. Fast forward, I now live in Alexandria, Virginia. I have 2 kids. One is at Clemson University. And then the other is a junior in high school and looking to start her journey.
Awesome. So let's drop anchor there. You mentioned you have kids in college or starting the college process, and I'm kind of going off script a little bit because I just want to give the people what they want and what they need to hear. And our audience are these high school students. And so on that topic of college that you were mentioning, Ms. Peterson, the cost of college these days. And as these students make that transition from wanting to go the college route, what advice would you give to them as college can be expensive? And I know a lot of you have kids, and I know some of you are paying for the college tuition of your kids. And so what responsibility is it for these high school students as they want to elect to go the college route for the actual financial side of it? What do you expect out of high school students and even your children?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing any different from when we were growing up. Do the work, right? You all do the work. I mean, the high school students must do the work. There's several different ways, as we all know, to finance college. Eddie and Val can talk about kind of the athletic route from the perspective of, the work that it requires to be an academic, an academician who's really focused on athletics. And then my son, while he played a sport every year, he's not going to be 7 feet tall. I mean, basketball was his love, and he wasn't. So what he decided to do was to do basically the business of the game. And so what he did was he still played, right? But then he took a different route, and he started to interview with colleges and universities that had sports management programs, who had strong athletic teams. Clemson didn't fare well this year from a football perspective, but and when he went to Clemson, he also went to work for the football team so that he could see the inside, of the business of the game, even from an NCAA perspective. And I think the interesting thing for him too is name, image, and likeness. Val and Eddie's kids probably gonna get some real money now because of this whole name, image, and likeness.
We praying.
Right. But I mean, that's a whole different nuance, right? And that's a whole different avenue that, again, my son wasn't going to be 7 feet. Basketball was his love, but he decided he still wanted to be in the business of the game. And then as it turns out, he is pursuing kind of that avenue. My daughter's 17. She has the infamous list of schools she wants to apply for. But she's also interested in the service academies. My husband is a West Point grad, so she wants to follow in dad's footsteps. And there's several different ways. I mean, yes, we do write checks, you know, to pay for tuition. But the other piece of this is, you know, when the baby is born, get your 529, you know, as you start to move forward. But look, there are a number of different scholarship opportunities that people really aren't even advertised. Local sororities, fraternities, civic groups. I know that there's an app, I think it's called Scholly, SCHOLLY. And then there's a book, and I'll try and get the name of the book and send it to you. But there's a book that has like tons and tons of scholarships that basically go unclaimed because they may be $2,500 here, $5,000 there. But you've got to be creative. And what we tried to do with our own kids was to say, you know, you choose, and, you know, we'll help you figure out how to finance it. But one of the things that we are trying to stay away from is school loans and allowing our kids to graduate at least with a leg up.
Yes, ma'am. And to continue that, since you brought it up, right? Any of the other panelists, did you, any of y'all had to take out school loans? And if you did, what was the process to pay those back? What recommendations would you give to these students as they are on the path of probably having to take out student loans?
Hey, no student loans on my part, but I'll if I could add a little bit on the other side of that is that just that college environment to even get to that level. I think the most important piece that we have to keep in mind for youth and even for adults is that it is a grind. It is a true grind, and you can do all the preparation that you want to, but things change in life. It is a constant change, and I tell my kids this, that you can prepare as much as you want, but things will change, and you have to be able to make that adjustment, and that adjustment has to be forward moving. You can't stay stagnant. So if I can go back to your original questions, pretty much on student loans, I did not have any student loans, and I tried my best to stay away from them. And one of those avenues is to, of course, sounds kind of crazy, but get to know the financial office at the school that you decide to go to, because a little Rose every now and then, a McDonald's, you know, you don't have any money, so you got to go as cheap as you can. But prior to that, hey man, just look at the opportunities out there for you, so that money doesn't have to come out of your pocket or family's pockets.
Well,
Yeah.
I know, I work at GECA, which is our college and career academy here in Brunswick, and I'm the career specialist. And it's a trade, it's basically trades and pathways that they take. Like we have culinary art, welding, auto body, auto mechanic. They have healthcare. They can start complete pathway in sports medicine. So is graphics, broadcasting. So we have the kids that may not be able to go to college, may not be able to afford to go to college, but still can have the opportunity to take these classes, and some of them can get certified. We just had a young man, I'm working with him now in his presence of interviewing, because that's a difficult thing for him, because, you know, our young people so used to chatting and, I mean, you know, texting. And so when it comes to eye-to-eye contact, having those words to tell me a little bit about yourself, and there, and he has an opportunity for an internship at Gulfstream, and he can start making $20-something an hour. And so that's like not having to go to college and have that burden, you know, parents that can't afford it. So that's kind of how at College and Career Academy, we've been pushing them, but still just having to prepare them for the interview part, to getting the job. That's, I mean, I have kids that don't know what a resume is. You know, I have students that never had an interview, don't know what soft skills are, don't know what employability skills are. And so how are we going to send them to school, and how are we going to send them on jobs, and they don't know the basics.
Right.
So we just try to say, come on, get this pathway. This is something, our welding down in Kings Bay, they're starting them out, internship at $25-$30 an hour too. And all they have to do is complete that welding, pathway and get that certification. And so it eliminates all the student loans and trying to go to college, because it's not going to be for everybody.
Right.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. I think that's
Absolutely.
great what you're doing there at GIC, and I think that's part of our community, right, to educate
Yes.
our students that are coming up to know about, resumes and
Mhm.
soft skills and how to present yourself and market yourself to get to that next level where it is that you want to be. And Mr. Jones, I know I had the opportunity to graduate with your daughter, went off to UGA, and I know you've been around Brunswick community for a little while, and I just want to kind of get your insight on, as some students graduate, they may not know exactly what they want to do. So it's been recommended that some attend the local college that we have right there at College of Coastal Georgia for the first 2 years before going off to a marquee school that some may consider the Georgia Techs or the Emory's or whatever you may have it. What will be your insight on that? Because I think Jessica went to all 4 years at UGA.
And she went straight there. Let me back up and tell you one thing, that I was blessed. We were able to afford to pay her tuition. I would not recommend to anybody going through college with the student loan process. It just puts people in a hole initially, and it's additional stress on top of what was said earlier about the grind. The local college, what I have seen, I have a foundation. I've worked with the kids at Brunswick High for over 10 years now. And not everybody's college material, number one. Not everybody can afford to go to college, but that doesn't mean they can't be successful, as we just heard. I know some folks that were turned down in bigger schools, Georgia Tech and Georgia, for example, and they went to our local school for a year, and then the transfer acceptance rate is very high compared to the freshman acceptance rate. The other part that we're really blessed at Brunswick High to have is we're right across the street from that local college.
Mhm.
And I may have my numbers off a little bit, but if you take full advantage of what's available at the local college, when you graduate high school, you're only a course or two away from being a junior, and it's tuition free. And I don't know, I'm sure it's marketed pretty well at Brunswick High, but that's a tremendous benefit that we have. And kids can kind of get a feel for what they may want to do, because the other part I've noticed is that I don't know if it's not new in today's society, but a lot of kids graduate from high school and they really don't know what their career is going to be. And they go off to school and they pick some major that sounds good, but they, in the end, don't have any real heart or interest in. And they wind up, getting a degree in I don't pick something, and they get a job in something else, and they really never take full advantage of the education they got. I kind of look at your brother as an example of ways to overcome all of these things. The military has tremendous opportunities for folks in a number of ways. One is it helps build self-discipline. It helps build self-esteem. It helps create character in people that a lot of folks' home lives don't even have that. And at the same time, they offer tuition assistance to train people in different careers that, after a period of time being in some of these military programs, they kind of get a feel for what they might want to do. And Jabari, I'm not sure exactly where he is now with his college career, but he's been very successful in enlisting in the Air Force and taking advantage of those programs, and it's winding up. He gets an income, he gets training, and he's getting an education without having to worry about those student debts. And the Career Academy is another one that people don't really fully appreciate, because some people just feel like you have to have a degree to be successful, and that's not true anymore. I got a friend of mine that was a waiter at a restaurant that I attended many times, and he got on college after work and became a medical assistant, where they process insurance forms and that kind of thing. And over time, he has risen up to be an office manager, and he started from absolutely nothing. So there's a lot of different ways you can be successful, and successful doesn't mean you make $1 million a year.
Right.
You know, if you have a better opportunity than your parents had, then in my opinion,
Yep,
you're successful.
absolutely.
I think that's great insight. And then Ms. Peterson, you mentioned your two kids. I think there's a current struggle with a lot of students these days. They hear the word passion and they put on the opposite side of going the harder route. And so obviously that's a little bit subjective, but there's always a push and a pull between, I feel like I'm passionate, this is what I want to do, versus this is, may give me the job that has the higher income and more stability in the future. And so what kind of advice, Mr. Jones kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier as far as the degree selection. And so there's a wide variety, right? You can go the humanities route or the STEM route. What advice would you give to students as they're kind of wrestling, they want to pursue like an art degree, advice, going to be an accountant or whatever it may be? What advice do you give to these students?
So Mr. Jones talked a little bit about, there are different pathways, and college may not be the pathway for everybody. But what I do believe is, and I have, I won't call her a schizophrenic but a left brain, right brain kid, right? She wants to be an engineer. She excels in math and physics and all of those kinds of stuff. But she loves to build the drama set. She's in the drama club, and she's, at school building the set for the play. And so I think what we have to do, even with this generation, and again, I also recruit talent for my company, is that everybody's not a mathematician, everybody's not a physicist, everybody's not an accountant. And so we have to really encourage people to do what really makes them comfortable, to do what's going to make them get up in the morning and go to work, right? And even them not seeing it as work. That's the really hard piece, I think, that I think all of us, certainly on your panel, knew at the end of the day, yeah, we got to go out, get a job, and and make some money. But I think in retrospect, and what we are blessed enough, I think, to provide our own children is for them to have some level of balance in life, because, as Mr. Jones says, $1 million doesn't make you successful, right? It
Amen.
is, $1 million is not what's going to make you successful. Because I know a whole lot of people who make $1 million+ and they've got a whole bunch of other stuff going on in their respective lives. But that being said, you really want to encourage people to do it, and I hate the term passionate, but do what really makes them comfortable. What's going to make you get up in the morning, that you don't say when Sunday comes, oh my God, it's Monday, I got to go to work, right? And so, I mean, it's hard, and it's easy for us to say now, that we are all in our respective careers and doing what we do. But I think that's what we're all trying to do with our own kids is, encourage what they want to do. I know she wants to be an engineer, but I encourage her art just as much, as she wants to be an engineer.
Shakir, if I can step in and just touch a little bit on what Theresa has said here. I think also as the youth are trying to figure out their way in this thing we call life, is that you may have this passion that you want, but you're going to need some help for that passion. And one of the ways I think is very important is to go out and see if you can find that mentor that's going to help you, but not only let that mentor just give you information, let that mentor show you the pathway. To me, that's important. And your mentors could be anyone. And I'll tell young people, listen to that adult in the room. Listen to them, and then ask them, help me.
But to be the devil's advocate, this generation they're a little different, because they see the social media, they want to be an influencer. They don't want to go, and a lot of them don't want to go and be a doctor and be an engineer and be, they just don't. They want everything right now, quick, hurry. Or they tell me all the time, I don't need to know how to do a mock interview. I don't need to know how to interview because I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna sell stuff online. I'm gonna be an influencer, or I'm gonna have my own business. Okay, well, how are you going to get there? How are you going to start? I have a young man right now. He's failing. This is his last semester. If he completes everything, he will graduate. He thinks he's going to be in real estate. I said, but you haven't even completed school. You won't even come to school and complete that. So yes, I'm not saying that you can't be in real estate, but I'm saying you have to even to yourself to know that I can complete this. I did complete something. So complete this, then go to real estate. He feel like he don't have to come to school. He don't have to go to class. And so that's how they think. When I sit down and say, what do you like to do? We do career assessments, personality assessments. They don't care. They don't care about those things. They don't sit and say, oh, I have passion to draw. I have passion for music. I have passion. I want to work on cars. They see what they see. They're influenced by social media, and it makes it look good. And that's what they want to do. And they believe if I sell eyelashes and get me an online eyelash, that's all I need to do. They don't think any further, than that. And like you said, having a mentor, they won't come to you. Now, this is what I'm experiencing. They won't come to you. I suggest mentors to them. I try to, connect them with my son, just especially males, young men, trying to talk to them. A lot of them, one told me yesterday, I sleep on the floor. That's my life. He comes to school every day, but he's sleeping on the floor. So my mom is struggling. So he's not thinking about his future. He's thinking about his situation right now. And that's the thing, I think, so I try to be involved and let them know that I care, not just about your academics, but I care about you. You don't have to be sleeping on the floor, and so sometimes we as adults have to do a little extra and not just teach. And they feel like that's all you worried about. You don't care that I'm sleeping on the floor trying to make it here. And I can tell he's in the same clothes. So I even took him some of my son's clothes. I told him, I said, DJ, I said, you left them in the closet. I don't know if you needed them or not, but that Nike jacket is gone. But that's what we have to meet them where they are and show them that, hey, I'll walk alongside with you, the ones that don't have parents and that are pushing them and encouraging them. And it's a lot. It's a lot.
And so I want to open this up to the whole cast, and whoever has insight on this specific question, feel free to go ahead and speak up and talk on it. And so obviously, as you all have progressed in your careers, with the advent of social media and being able to see what quote unquote success may look like, whether that's, a dollar figure that's out there or a specific type of home or valuables that you may have, at this point in your lives, how would you all define success having, this level of experience? Is it the physical things? Is it more of a transcendental type success or spiritual success? Because this is where I'm at in my career, and a lot of people, high schoolers, what is you get to this point that you're at in your career, what is success and what really matters in our lives? What do you guys think about that?
I'll take a stab at it first, or go ahead, Tyler. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, for me, because of what I went through and what I experienced that was so, life-threatening, it made me realize what was important to me, and that was family. I take every day as it comes. I try not to stress out and worry about things, having my peace. That's success for me, because I lost everything before, and I realized it's not the material things, and it's not even the dollar sign. I think sometimes I had more peace when I was in that struggle. I think, and to be honest, I had more peace when I had less things and was in that struggle. But I still, it was just a different sense of, okay, it's going to be okay. That was what was successful for me. When the things start coming, a new truck, a car note, the house, I'm like, oh my gosh, and you feel that tension and pressure of, I have to, make sure this car note paid. I got to make sure my mortgage paid. And so that's what's, successful to me, seeing your kids grow and blossom, although things may not have gone the way you planned for your life, but to see them grow and blossom out of that and to be okay, that's what's successful to me.
That's great to hear. Anybody else on the panel?
Shakir, I'm be 64 this year,
Yes, sir.
and I can say two different things about that. The first one is our preacher said not too long ago, everybody has a choice in life to make. You're going to spend eternity somewhere, and it depends on what you choose to do. And in the grand scheme of things, if that message can be communicated to younger folks and they grasp that in its true sense, and they can make peace with the person that's in the mirror every day when they look in there, they can come to grips with a lot of life struggles, but without that faith and that reliance on all of that depression and all these other things that are constantly being barraged on social media, it is real. And it's popular culture is what we used to call it back in the day, and it's a fad. It changes regularly because businesses want to get your money, and they change the fads because they want you to buy new clothes and new things, and the pressure is out there for you to keep up. And the people that I see that are most successful, and I'll use you as one of their biggest personality traits is their faith. They accept things as they come along instead of try to make something that isn't there. And it makes it easier to cope with the struggles. Everybody has, it doesn't matter your social status or your financial status, everybody's going to have things that happen in life, and it's how you deal with them. And if you don't have something to rest on, it makes life very, very complicated. And when you can look back as a parent and see your child have a better life than you did and not really having to struggle any more than you did, then it's gratification that you have succeeded as a parent. And when you see them express their faith as well, that gives you an extra source of gratification that not only have they succeeded in one part, but they can accept the challenges in ways that people that don't have it, they've struggled.
Right. Nice. I love it. I love it that you're able to bring that to us and share that insight to us, especially that we got to record it for the future audience as well. And so another part that I want to bring up is, what the guys and women that are in their particular careers. I know it's a diverse group that we have on the panelists. The high school students that decide to go right into the workforce, or the college students that come right out of college. What is it that you're looking for as these high students graduate and they go to work, or the college students graduate and they go to work? Who is like the ideal candidates that you want to work on your teams and your individual fields, just to give these students an idea of some of the intangibles that they can work on now and perfect and practice on, and future employers what they can look for in the job search process?
Mhm.
Well, I'll jump in real quick. I think one of the most important pieces of that is being to adapt to the new environment that you're in, because of the culture environment, because of the age, just the personalities. You've got so many structures that you have to navigate through. So being able to make that adjustment across the board, don't make work so much about you, make work about the team. I know many of the students may hear that in sports, but I tell you, in the work environment, it is very important, because in order to get document A all the way to document or level Z, it has to be a team effort, and not one person is going to walk those stairs to get to the top. I mean, it takes a team effort, and be able to accept that, you're not going to always get that tap on the back to say, well done. Hey, I appreciate what you've done for me. So you have to have that inner peace. You do what is right on the job, and it'll work out.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think Eddie's actually, he's correct. Today everything is done in a team type of environment. You don't do anything by yourself. And so when I look at people that I'm going to bring on or I'm going to recommend, are they good listeners? And then are they inclusive? And when I say inclusive, I mean, you're leading a team of 5 people. Are you, and as the leader, are you making sure that everyone in that team has some input? Because again, as we all know, we all have different experiences. We're not the most outgoing. And so sometimes the smartest person on your team could actually be the one that won't step in, you know, to a group conversation, or even see something that may not be quite right, or there may be a different way to do something, and they won't say anything. And so what I really push hard for folks to do, and as I coach other team members, is to listen to your team, but most importantly, grab somebody, you know, if you got 5 people, don't let just 3 people manipulate the conversation. Make sure that you have input from the 5 members of your team.
Right.
No, that's great to know. Part of that teamwork, right? To make a great team, some of the individuals have to be, they got to take a self-ownership on it as well. And I think a part of that ownership comes to I think we've seen over just general statistics, you know, with resiliency and sometimes life challenges getting tough, and you know, whether it's like the suicide rate, or even if you look at the national divorce rate amongst Americans, some of that may come to resiliency. And I know through your personal experience, Ms. Williams, can you guys speak of like, what can high school students do over a period of time, you know, maybe 6 months or 2 or 5 years, to where they can become more resilient? Because like, I forgot who mentioned it earlier, maybe it was Mr. Jones, that we're all going to have problems, whatever it may be, maybe cancer, maybe a breakup, maybe a broken leg, maybe a job loss or something, but that resiliency will take us through to not give up on life. And so what can students do to be more resilient in life?
One of the exercises that I do, like I said, for the young man, that he has the awesome work ethic in classroom. He participates. The instructor thinks he's an awesome kid. This is the thing. He lives in Dixville on London Street. That's his environment, right? However, when he comes to class, he does what he's supposed to do. So he's been recommended to go to Gulfstream for this internship. He comes down to my class, the instructor, and he said he has no presence, none whatsoever. He's just quiet. He does not speak up. He's an introvert. There's nothing there. So Monday, I got back in town Monday. I called him down, and I have started him out with positive affirmations, and did a couple, gave him some words like accountability, assertive, and had him look them up. He came back today. We're doing 30 minutes every day. But I'm telling you, those positive affirmations, and I told him this to continue to speak them. I say, because you're speaking that to yourself. You have to know that you have the confidence to go in and say, hey, I'm valuable. You want me. You know, you can have all the skills in the world, but if you can't go in and sell yourself, you won't get the job. Somebody else that's sitting out there, you need to be able to tell them why you should hire me. You should hire me because I'm this, that. I'm adaptable, you know, I'm resilient, you know, I'm detail oriented. You should be able to go in there. And so just from Monday, he came back today, and I can see just a little bit. And he has actually been practicing, because I told him, I said, give me 2, give me 2 positive affirmations. And he gave them to me. So he actually took the sheet, and I gave him some interview questions, you know, and that's just to build his confidence. So by the time he goes, I want this young man, I'm like, he living in Dixville on London Street, and he has an opportunity to go and work at Gulfstream. Yeah, we're gonna boost his confidence and make him feel like, and I told him, I said, you deserve to have this opportunity. And so just speaking positive in him, because we don't know how much negative he's hearing. So speaking positive in him, that's what I think helps them to know, you know, words they've never heard. We don't know how much negativity our children are hearing in a day. So just that is something I think, and giving them words. I told them, I said, you're like an empty toolbox, but I'm gonna give you the tools. And when you have the tools, all you have to do is go inside and just go and get that interview, get that job.
Use use the tools that you got. I think that's great, that mentorship that you provided and that leadership. And Mr. Jones, I saw you shaking your head. I want you to do two parts.
I don't have all the words. It's a double-edged sword here. Today's kids live on social media, and they don't interact like we did once upon a time, because back in the day, we had to pick up the phone call and call somebody or go see them in person. And because of the way social media is, the face-to-face skills aren't as practiced as they once were. And like she was saying, an interview, employers are looking for characteristics and things that will be positive, and it's not necessarily the kid's fault, but they don't get enough practice face-to-face conversation where they get to exercise their confidence. And it's one thing to be humble and express that, but you got to have enough confidence in yourself to sell yourself to someone, to say, yes, I may not know how to do this job, but I can learn it, or I'm willing to be a team member. And I don't know where today's society is going, but it just seems like everybody's willing to shoot a tweet off and be happy with that. But when they get confronted with it, they don't. All they do is want to argue. They're not willing to listen to someone else and process that information and create a constructive dialogue. It's always yes or no, or right or wrong. And I just shake my head at it, because I don't know where we're going with all that. But it's a challenge.
Yeah.
I
And I
understand
admire Valerie for doing what she's doing, because the kids just don't get taught that kind of stuff. We used to take it for granted that you had to do that, but nowadays, the teachers aren't the people that should have to be teaching interpersonal skills. But it seems to be that's where we're going. That our teaching staff has to do more than just teach the books. They've got to teach them how to be social people.
Yeah, it's an interesting complex that I think we're all going through as a community together. Yes. But as we're at 42 minutes in here, I want to give everybody the opportunity to provide one last parting shot for advice that you'll give to a high school student, or maybe to your former high school self. However you want to twist that question. What advice would you give to your high school self? And we just got done with Ms. Williams and Mr. Jones. So Mr. Bell, I want to lead you off with it. So you can lead us on. What would you tell your 16-year-old self, with having almost come full circle, right? With where you start off with as a 17-year-old and where you're at right now. What would you tell your former self?
You mute. Eddie, you're on mute.
All right, sorry. So I would truly say this, and I said it before. Listen to the adults that are in the space around you, and try to follow their lead as much as you can. It doesn't mean that you have to go down their path, but I would say to myself, dude, you missed on a lot of opportunities. I would say that educationally, I would say that friendship wise, I would say that with family, friends, just life. But the joy of it is this right here. Even if you're lacking in some of those areas, you have an opportunity to change that. And life is funny. Life tends to put us on different planes, and we take trips to different areas in our lives and other people's lives as well, because what we do affects everybody. And we have to be thankful. I mean, I say that now, being much older than of course high school days. That's only 10 years. So I would say, man, it definitely gets better on the back end. Awesome. It definitely gets better.
And then, being one of your best friends over here, Ms. Theresa, what would you tell your high school self, or even what would you tell high school students today?
So what I will tell high school students today, and Mr. Jones talked a little bit about it, and certainly I think when it comes to interacting, right? Get yourself some good friends, not your social media friends. So on my list, and I think I can't remember which, some of these things, you can't read, to the high school students. So the constant chat is Eddie Vale, Tony Baisden, Kevin Perry, Cheryl Grant, Ron Lowe. So he was Ronnie when we were in high school, but he's Ron Lowe now. Sabrina, get yourself Sandra Ulmer, get yourself some good friends who are going to follow you and you're going to stay. I mean, one thing I can say, when we all went to school, when we were home during the holidays, we all ended up connecting with each other. When we all went, I mean, we can talk on the phone and we can chat with each other like we've never missed a day, you know, and we can support each other. Even though Val wasn't in our class, we can support Val. Get yourself some good friends. My mother used to call our group the poor little rich kids. We were poor, we didn't have any money, but we were rich in friendship and love for one another, right? And we've seen each other, you know, laugh, cry, grow. We've watched each other's children. Now some of us have grandchildren. So that is what will sustain you. And Val alluded to that. That's what's going to sustain you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Those friendships. And I'm looking forward to where I'm at, you know, when I'm in you all seats as well, to see how those friendships come to fruition. Miss Valerie, please, Ms. Williams.
I would say this is what I tell my son, my youngest. I mixed it with my oldest too, but they graduated from Georgia Southern. They did good. So I have to keep the youngest one in line. But I always tell him to plan and adjust, to be ready to adjust. Because like we said, things change, you know. And so I always tell him also that if you don't plan something to put a goal down, to me, I think you're just taking a walk. If a person doesn't have a vision, you're just taking a walk. You're just getting up every day, just doing things. But when you have a vision and when you have goals, it gives you some kind of direction, even if you have to adjust them along the way. And so, you know, that's my advice. That's what I tell my own child, you know, just to plan. I said, DJ, like, he's staying another year at Reinhardt. They gave him another year. I said, you're not there just for basketball, but he's going to be able to get his master's. And I said, okay, but now you should be able to, you got to sit down and plan. What are you going to do? What's your plan? You can adjust it later, but plan, because if not, you're just taking a walk. You're not focused on anything. You're not going in any direct direction. So that's what I would say.
Oh, thank you. It sounds like that I'm thinking in Spanish right now because I'm down here in Colombia.
Okay.
But there's a dicho that says if you fail to plan, you're actually planning to fail. That is your plan. But no, I love it. Thank you for sharing that insight to us. And then Mr. Jones, if you can wrap us up with some gems.
4 things real quick. Lady Pirates are winning by 10 at halftime in the Elite Eight.
Pirates.
That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you, sir.
If I had to tell myself or anybody else, I would say, you know, nothing is as bad as it seems. You know, everybody goes through things, and you will survive if you just hang in there. There's a difference between success and being successful. You don't have to be a millionaire. You know, success is an event. You know, you win a football game or you do something. Successful is a lifestyle, and you do those things that consistently over time. When you get to be old guy like me, you can say, yeah, you know, I've got it pretty easy. I've succeeded. And then the thing I preach more than anything else is, given the choice between being right and happy, pick happy. Because in the grand scheme of things, you can't be right all the time, and it doesn't matter what someone else thinks in the realm of opinion. Just say you're right and go on and be happy and keep on going.
Well, I think that's a perfect way to bring this one to a close. I'm super grateful for everybody that was on this panelist today. And I think no better way to bring it with some wisdom for week 5 of Brunswick and beyond. I didn't see any questions in our group chat. I know what happens is a lot of students have extracurricular activities, so they're either doing sports like the Lady Pirates tonight, or some are even working like Miss Valerie's kid may be working right now. So they'll watch this on YouTube at another point. I'll open it one last time. If there's any more parting notes, please speak your piece. If not, I'll end it out at this point.
So I want to acknowledge our dear friend and Miss Cheryl Grant. I see her. So she doesn't have her camera on, but Shakir, she was a part of the poor little rich kids too. So she's here in supporting us.
Yeah.
Yeah, there she is.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.